When my parents told me Grandpa left me nothing in his will, I believed them. I didn't want to, but I did. They sat me down in the living room right after the funeral. My mom crossed her arms. My dad looked at the floor. Mom said, "Sweetie, I know you were close to Grandpa, but you have to be strong now. He left everything to us. You weren't in the will." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" I asked softly. "He said he was going to take care of me." "He changed his mind," Dad said quickly. "He said you need to grow up and make your own way." I just sat there. I couldn't speak. It felt like someone pushed a sharp rock into my chest. Grandpa would never do that to me. He was the only one who ever made me feel safe. Loved. Oh, sorry, I forgot to say my name. My name is Lena Grace Martin, and I'm 17 years old. Grandpa was more than my grandfather. He was my best friend. He raised me when my parents were always too busy. He picked me up from school. He made me pancakes every Saturday morning. He even taught me how to ride a bike. He was always there. But now he was gone. And now my parents were acting strange. The day after they told me about the will, they were already celebrating. They laughed while counting papers at the kitchen table. They called the bank. They listed Grandpa's house for sale. They even ordered takeout and toasted with wine. All while I sat in my room, staring at a picture of Grandpa holding me when I was little. I didn't cry at the funeral. But that night, I couldn't stop. They didn't even wait a week. They sold Grandpa's house fast. I had to pack up everything. They said there was no room for me to stay at home because they were renovating. But I knew what that meant. They didn't want me around. So I moved into my friend Mia's guest room. Her family was kind, but I didn't feel at home. I missed Grandpa's house. I missed his voice. I missed the sound of his old clock ticking in the hallway. One night I couldn't sleep. I lay there thinking about everything. Something didn't feel right. My parents were never close to Grandpa. They barely visited him. Sometimes they even talked badly about him. So why would Grandpa leave them everything and leave me nothing? Just didn't make sense. And then I remembered something strange. A few months before Grandpa passed away, he had whispered something to me. He held my hand and said, "Don't trust everything they say after I'm gone. The truth always finds the right eyes." At the time I didn't know what he meant. But now, it came back like a lightning bolt in my brain. What if they were lying? What if they had taken something that didn't belong to them? I tried to ask them about the will, but they got angry fast. "Why are you still talking about that?" My mom snapped. "It's done. Stop digging where you don't belong," Dad added, pointing his finger at me. That was all I needed to hear. I wasn't going to let it go. Grandpa trusted me. I knew it in my bones. He always said I was smart and strong. He always said, "You see things other people don't." So I made a plan. The house hadn't sold yet. The new owners were supposed to take over the next week. That meant the place was still empty. And I had one last chance to go there. I told Mia I needed to go say goodbye. She offered to come with me, but I said I needed to do it alone. So, on a cloudy Thursday afternoon, I took the bus to Grandpa's old house. The street was quiet. The trees waved gently in the wind. The house looked sad and lonely, just like I felt inside. I walked up the steps, unlocked the door with a spare key and stepped inside. Everything was just as I remembered. The hallway smelled like cinnamon. His brown coat still hung on the hook. The wooden clock was still ticking. Each tick felt like a whisper from the past. I walked into the living room and sat in his chair. I closed my eyes and tried to imagine him there, laughing, reading, smiling. Then I walked into his bedroom. This room felt different. He had spent a lot of time here during his last days. I sat on the edge of the bed and sighed. "Grandpa, if you can hear me, please help me understand." I didn't expect an answer. But something strange happened. I felt a cold breeze, even though the windows were shut. And then I looked down at the floor. One of the wooden floorboards near the bed looked slightly out of place. I got on my knees and crawled over to it. touched it. It was loose. My heart started to beat faster. I lifted the board slowly. And there, tucked underneath, was something taped to the bottom of the bed frame. It was a small metal box. My hands were shaking as I pulled it free. I didn't know what was inside. But suddenly I wasn't scared. I was ready. I held the metal box in my hands. It was silver, small and cold. There was tape wrapped all around it like someone wanted to make sure no one would open it by accident. But I wasn't just anyone. I was Lena Grace Martin, 17. And I was Grandpa's girl. I sat on the bed and slowly peeled the tape off. My heart was beating fast, like it was trying to say something before my mouth could. Finally, I opened the lid. Inside the box were two things: letter and a small black flash drive. I stared at the letter first. It was folded neatly, with my name written on the front in Grandpa's handwriting. Lena. Just my name. My eyes started to sting, but I didn't cry. Not yet. I opened the letter. It said, "If you're reading this, they lied to you. They took something that was never theirs to take. But I knew they might try. That's why I made another will. The real one. Saved on this flash drive. I also left a message for you. Show this to Mr. Bennett. He'll know what to do." Blink. Mr. Bennett. That was Grandpa's old friend. He used to visit on Sundays. He wore glasses and always had cookies in his pocket. He was also Grandpa's lawyer. My hands shook as I read the letter again. They lied to me. My parents. They stole my inheritance. They told me Grandpa left me nothing, but he didn't. He knew they might do this. He had a plan. And now I was part of it. I held the flash drive in my hand. Was it real? Was this really happening? I needed to know. I had to see what was on it. So I took a deep breath, left the house and went to the library. They had computers there. On the way, my heart felt like it was jumping up and down in my chest. I didn't know if I was scared or angry or both. Maybe all of it. I got to the library and sat down at a corner desk. The screen glowed white as I turned on the computer. I plugged in the flash drive. One file popped up. Video, for Lena. Clicked on it. Took a second to load and then... there he was. Grandpa. Sitting at his old wooden desk, wearing a warm sweater and glasses. His face looked tired but kind. He smiled at the camera. "Hey there, sweetheart. If you're watching this, then I'm probably not around anymore. I'm sorry for that. I really am." I felt my throat close up. "Now listen to me carefully. I know your parents. I've known them a long time. And I knew they were planning something. I saw them snooping through my safe last month. Whispering. Arguing when they thought I was asleep. So I made a new will. Secret one. One that gives everything to the person who truly deserves it, you. You took care of me. You loved me. You never wanted anything but my hugs and silly stories. This flash drive has a copy of the real will. Mr. Bennett helped me with it. He saved it too. Go to him. Show him this. Don't be scared, Lena. Believe in you. And I love you, always." The screen went black. That's when I broke. Tears rolled down my cheeks, hot and heavy. I covered my mouth to stop the sobs from coming out too loud. I wasn't crying just because I missed him. I was crying because he believed in me. Even from the grave. He trusted me to do the right thing. I sat there for a while, staring at the screen, breathing slowly, holding on to his voice like it was the last warm thing in the world. And I wiped my face, picked up the flash drive and stood up. I had work to do. I took a bus to Mr. Bennett's office. It was the same quiet little place near the corner of Main Street. A green door with a tiny golden bell on it. I walked in. He looked up from his desk and blinked twice. "Lena," he said. "What a surprise." I stepped forward. "I found something Grandpa left for me." I handed him the flash drive and the letter. He read the letter slowly. Then he looked at me, eyes wide. "You found this where?" "Under his bed," I said. "Taped to the frame." He stood up at once. "Lena, this changes everything. This is the original will. I thought it was gone forever. I helped him write it, but he wanted to keep it safe. Said he didn't trust the people in his house. It hurt. Because the people in his house were my parents. Mr. Bennett called someone right away. He said we needed to file something with the court. He used big words I didn't understand, but I listened carefully. The important part was clear. Grandpa's will was real. It was valid. And it gave everything to me. The house, the money, everything. My legs felt wobbly. My chest felt hot. I didn't know if I wanted to cry or shout or both. Mr. Bennett looked at me and said, "Your parents are going to be very surprised." I nodded slowly. "Yes," I said. "But I won't be." The next few days felt like a storm. Mr. Bennett moved fast. He said we had to act before my parents could sell more of Grandpa's things or move the money around. He made calls. He filled out forms. He even drove me to the courthouse. And just like that, everything changed. The court opened a new case. They called it fraud investigation. I didn't know what that meant at first, but Mr. Bennett explained. If someone lies to take money that doesn't belong to them, that's fraud. And if we can prove they changed the will or hid the truth, the court will reverse everything. Reverse everything? You mean they'd have to give it all back? I sat still as the judge read over the documents. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. Just read quietly, then nodded. "We'll hear both sides next week," he said. "But this evidence looks serious." When I told Mia what was happening, she squealed and hugged me. "Lena, oh my gosh, you're going to win. You're going to get it all back." I wanted to believe her. But I also knew my parents. They wouldn't go down without a fight. And I was right. When the hearing day came, my mom and dad walked into the courtroom acting like nothing was wrong. Mom wore a bright red dress. Dad had shiny new shoes. They smiled like it was all a big joke. But when the judge asked, "Do you recognize this video?" and played Grandpa's message for everyone to see, their faces dropped. Gone were the smiles. Gone was the fake confidence. They looked frozen. Grandpa's voice filled the room. "They don't deserve a cent. Everything I built is for Lena. She's the one who loved me." The room was quiet after the video ended. You could hear a pin drop. My mom started shaking her head. "That video could be fake," she shouted. "Objection," Mr. Bennett said calmly. "This file is verified. Helped record it. This is the original will, time-stamped, sealed, and witnessed." The judge turned to my parents. "Do you have any proof that your version of the will is real?" They looked at each other. Then at me. Then at the judge. No one said a word. 'Cause they had no proof. They had lied. They had stolen from their own daughter. From Grandpa. The judge banged his gavel. "I've seen enough." My heart was racing. Effective immediately, the court recognizes the backup will, leaving the estate to Lena Grace Martin. All accounts, properties, and possessions must be returned to her name. The previous documents are invalid and considered part of an ongoing fraud investigation. My hands flew to my mouth. I won. Actually won. Tears filled my eyes, but I didn't cry. Not yet. I just stared at my parents. They looked small. Like shadows of the people I once knew. Dad tried to speak. "Lena, please, let's talk about this." But I stood up and said the words I had been holding in my heart for weeks. "You told me Grandpa left me nothing. But he left me everything. Not just money. He left me the truth. And that's more powerful than anything you ever stole." The judge gave me a soft nod. The court officer handed me the final papers. I was the new legal owner of Grandpa's house. His bank account. His land. His life's work. And my parents. They were left with nothing. They tried to appeal. They begged. They said they were confused and didn't mean to hurt me. But it was too late. The truth had already spoken. And Grandpa had already made his choice. The next morning I went back to Grandpa's house. The for sale sign was gone. I walked through the front door with the keys in my hand. The cinnamon smell was still there. I stood in the living room and whispered, "I did it, Grandpa. Found what you left me. I didn't give up. I walked into the kitchen, opened the drawer, and there it was. The pancake pan he always used on Saturdays. I ran my fingers along the counter. Everything felt just the same, but better. 'Cause now it was mine. And I didn't have to hide. Mia came over that evening and brought pizza. We sat on the floor, eating and laughing and listening to music. For the first time in a long time I felt safe. And happy. And full. Not just full of food but full of peace. That night, I stood by the window and looked up at the stars. I imagined Grandpa up there, watching me with his big kind eyes. I whispered again, "Thank you. I love you." And deep in my heart, I knew he heard me. The court gave me everything. The house, the money, cars, every single thing Grandpa left behind. It was all mine now. My parents stood there frozen, mouths open like they'd seen a ghost. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just nodded and walked out of the courtroom like Grandpa would have wanted me to. Calm, proud, and full of purpose. I didn't run to buy shiny cars or flashy clothes. Instead, the first thing I did was fix Grandpa's house. I had the creaky floors repaired, the windows cleaned, and the dusty garden planted with new flowers. I made his room exactly the same as he left it. Except now I put his photo on the wall, right above the bed, so every time I walked in, I'd see his kind face smiling at me. Next, I created something even bigger. I used part of the money to start the James Hartman Foundation, named after Grandpa. It helped kids who didn't have homes or families, just like how I felt when my parents threw me out. We gave them warm meals, school supplies, and safe beds. Every child that came in reminded me of how Grandpa loved me even when I had nothing. News of the foundation spread. People started talking about Grandpa like a hero. That made my heart feel warm inside, like a fire that never went out. Then, one afternoon, while I was planting roses in the garden, I heard a knock on the door. It was them. My parents. They looked different. Tired. Lost. Worn out. My mom's eyes were red, like she had been crying. My dad's shoulders were slouched, and he was holding a small paper bag. "Please, Sarah," my mom whispered. "We have nowhere else to go." I didn't say anything. "We're sorry," my dad added. We made a mistake." I looked at them both. The same people who laughed when they kicked me out. The same people who tried to erase Grandpa's voice, his love, his wishes. Now they were the ones begging. I took a deep breath and said, "I forgive you, but I won't forget." They waited for me to say more. So I did. "You taught me what greed looks like. But Grandpa taught me what love feels like. And this house, this home, it's full of love. There's no room for lies here." Their faces dropped. "You should go now," I finished. They turned away and walked slowly down the path. I didn't feel joy or pain, just peace. Like the last piece of the puzzle had clicked into place. That night, I sat on Grandpa's old chair, watching the stars through the window. I held his letter one more time and read the words over and over. "If you're reading this, then the truth found its way to you. I always believed in you, Sarah. You are stronger than you know. Don't let their darkness dim your light. Love, Grandpa." I closed my eyes and whispered, "Thank you." From that day on, I promised to live not just for me but for Grandpa. For the love he gave me. For the strength he planted in my heart. And even though he was gone, his voice stayed with me. Not under the bed this time, but inside me. Forever. Then let me know your thought in the comments.